Superfly Brothers way down in 1976. And well, they were playing at the time at the Concord Hotel, which was the Maho, right? And they were doing shows and stuff like that. So when I came, I started to show them how to read music and stuff like that. So Bobo was one of them that I helped to teach music, to read music. And Bobo has played with the Superfly Brothers, and it is his passion. I mean, he was very passionate about his instrument, the saxophone. He played the alto sax, the tenor sax. He played even clarinet, soprano sax, baritone sax, and he was a really good jazz musician. Very good, excellent jazz musician. Loved Coltrane music, so he tried to pattern in Charlie Parker. He's a very famous saxophonist. Bobo was just out of his league. I mean, he did a lot of jazz performances all around. I think sometimes he went to Aruba with Anastasia. I remember Anastasia Lamini on the piano. She did quite a number of jazz shows here on the island. And Bobo was in all of them, even on BET Jazz when in Anguilla, when they had the jazz festival in Anguilla. So Bobo was one of the saxophonists very high in demand, and he used to play with us in the Calypso band. I always had him in the Calypso band. The only time he ever missed being in the Calypso band was last year, Carnival. He played for the elimination, and then unfortunately he was sick. He wanted to play so bad, but he had to go to mat because he had a heart problem. Water retention and stuff like that. But he yesterday, he usually plays with two other musicians. And yesterday he did what he loved to do, which was play the saxophone. So and a couple of his friends came along. Pedrine came along and visited him where he was playing. Then his male nurse, who he taught saxophone to, came and jammed with him a little bit. And then Shine, you remember Shine, the singer, came and visited him. And then he went and do the next thing that he loved to do, which was play bingo. So he went over to Tropicana and played bingo. And after bingo, he and his best friend, Bernardi, while they were leaving the casino, he said he's tired, and so he sat down. He said, "Let me catch my breath a little bit," and he passed right there. So we're really gonna miss him, because I was so looking forward to him in the band again, for this carnival, and that's why it's so essential. I mean, as when you think about it, it is really necessary that we get the young people involved, and really that's what we're trying to do now at NIA, trying to form this youth orchestra so that we have people to take, our place when we go. People, because right now we have nobody to replace Bobo. He is irreplaceable, and we just in the Calypso band alone, we'd have to do what we did last year and get somebody from Anguilla. I mean, when you look at it, we really need to have our youths learn to do these things and become just as good as he was. So when you look back, he will be really missed. He's one of the greats of our time.
Now, we're celebrating 50 years Carnival, like you said that you're going to be missing him. How much so that the band and yourself is going to miss him of backing up the Calypsonians for this year?
Well, he was talking about, Bobo and I was talking about it. He's joking all the time. He said, "Boy, Carnival coming up, so already." And we're going to miss him. As I was saying just now, the last time, for the final show, we had to get a saxophonist from Anguilla to come and play. So if that's the case again, I mean, here it is, we're going to miss him again. So, it's going to be hard, because, I mean, nobody could really replace the way Bobo played. It's so different. Everybody else is totally different. He gives the band a different, feel. So he's really irreplaceable, but we will have to, I guess, get hopefully we can get this guy again to come back because we have nobody here to replace him.
But that seems to be very difficult because I know that you making plans, you're teaching youngsters and everything, and making preparation like what you just finished said a while ago that um, your time will be up, whether it's a retirement or whether it's a passing away. Just like what happened with the Tani and the boys right now, they don't exist. How far are you reaching with getting youngsters involved?
Well, we just started trying to recruit students. You know, we got this project going on now. Music brings people together, and we just trying to form the youth orchestra that's at NIA, National Institute of the Arts. This is going to be their music program, and we have the instruments here now. We got a grant from the Dutch Disaster Fund, and the instruments are already purchased. So we are looking for students to train right now. So we had like last Saturday gone, not this Saturday gone yet, but the Saturday before that, we had like 93 auditions, which means, there is potential. A lot of them want to play sax. Some of them came Saturday, to NIA. They know that we didn't have any auditions yesterday, but they still came. And would you believe that most of them wanted to play saxophone, which is good.
So you might
because I did train them.
You might get a second Bobo.
Exactly. This could be the starting of a second Bobo, a second Charlie Parker, Coltrane, one of the greats.
The Calypso shows in particular, he was always the saxophonist with the band. He was St. Martin's renowned saxophonist. I mean, we have people like Cornice also who blows saxophone, but Bobo was known for that saxophone, and he loved it. I remember at one point he started playing in church, and I've met him at several church functions that I MC. He would be playing there. I've seen him at several weddings. I've seen him at other functions for churches and so on, blowing the saxophone. I remember doing a Christmas show for a church, and Bobo was there blowing the saxophone. So he was known as the saxophonist by all. He even went out as a solo performer with his saxophone. And knowing Bobo over the years, I've seen his love for music, his love for the saxophone, and his love for musicians also. And people like Fats can tell you about him, because Fats has worked with Bobo since in the days of Superfly Brothers. This goes back to 1980 and so on. I remember Bobo backing up Calypsonians such as King Obstinate, Swallow, the Mighty Sparrow, and I could go on and on and on with artists that he has backed up, And I remember one time in New York, he was there with the Superfly Brothers, and they were playing for Sparrow, and I was at that show also. I even remember the place where they played at Tilden Ballroom, So I can tell you I've known Bobo for like 40 years plus, and always a happy fellow, always joyful. He never passed without having something to say, and I know his passing is going to be a blow for the music world in St. Martin, because there's so many people that have learned from him, have played with him, and also been in contact with him.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Have they already started the process with the employees in particular to ensure that you attend such a meeting as a collective mind?
Well, how soon on that first question? The request that was tabled is for the first week of February. It all depends on the schedule then from the minister, but we requested an urgent meeting for the first week of February about the unions. Their feeling, of course, as unions, they are not happy and they do not agree that the cost of living, it was not was not increased with the indexation. Out of the meeting, though, we learned that there are several unions that their base fire their CLA, the collective labor agreement, their workers that are how you would call the organized labor force that they represent, that they have been getting their cost of living adjustment. So, for example, Tillen workers, they got last year, the hospital workers under the RICUA, they got theirs also last year. And Brother Thompson, Wifel, they also fire the CLAs. Their workers don't actually work for minimum wage anymore. They are not minimum wage earners. But despite the fact that their workers are not minimum wage earners, as unions, in solidarity, they are very much concerned on this issue because basically, as unions, we try to look at the social fabric and not only our unionized members, even the non-unionized members. And some of those non-unionized members are what are falling under the category of the minimum wage. As unions, we see ourselves as the voice of the voiceless. So it is not only a question about our membership, because basically, Y2, the persons that might be still on minimum wage are some cleaners, but teachers are not really minimum wage earners either. So in the line across all of the unions, you still feel that there is a great sense of solidarity on this topic, because it is not an exercise that we have not done before. In the former Netherlands Antilles, when we had executive councils, we had an exercise, days in Divi. As unions, we came together in a block, in a tripartite setting, and at that time, we had our Commissioner of Labor, Mr. Louis Laveis, and we did the work to set the ground tone for how you would call at this point, you would say, the indexation of the minimum wage. So therefore, even though we don't have all the workers covered in that field, we are not going to stay back and sit back and lay down as unions and play there. The WICLU has a representation and a representative voice in the anti-poverty platform, and that's why in our meeting of Saturday, we make sure that we give them a short presentation of all that the platform has been doing so far, and for us to get also their support and stand and in our advocate, in the advocate that we have for these things to be realized. And if we do not come forward and tell our politicians what to do, they would be looking at other different green areas in our economy and forgetting the human factors. So we would be looking at probably where we can make money at harbor, airport, green energy, the dump, and all the different other topics would be discussed. But the social part and the social protection floor, and especially the workers, the pensioners, the people that need to be taken care of in this community, they would forget about them. So lest we remind them from all angles, we would not have accomplished what we need to do as trade unions.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Viv now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact WIB today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Wynwood Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Who you're for.
as it regards to existing legislation and the functioning of the MOT, when in particular, because what we've seen as a people since we've achieved our separate status, a lot of laws and a lot of laws in that effect have been approved, but has affected us negatively. And I think because the majority of the people does not have the understanding of the law, we find ourselves being reactive as opposed to proactive where it pertains to these laws. And I have to agree with my colleague MP Bryson, where it says, 9 times out of 10, when a law comes to Parliament, it's one that is such that, hey, you need to do this and you need to do it right away, because then St. Martin will be blacklisted. And St. Martin is not even in the top 100 economies in the world. And a lot of these laws are, when you read them and you go through them, they're applying legislation to St. Martin as if we're a major economy in the world, that, we're movers and shakers in the world. But the reality of that is, when we implement these laws, what happens to St. Martin is we feel the squeeze. We have no industries. We do not export anything. The only industry that we have is tourism. All of our revenue comes from outside in. There is no industry that we have in St. Martin where we generate an economy from within to export. So if we start to jeopardize the one source of income and do not protect that nest egg that we have, what is ultimately going to happen? We're going to make St. Martin a poor country. And by making it a poor country, we're going to be then dependent on those, do as I say and we bepalt. And why I say this is because when we go to the current legislation, if accusations is leveled against someone as it pertains to unusual financial transaction, that person writes a letter to the MOT for a response. My question is, how long does it take the MOT to reply as it regards to that? And secondly, if accusations is leveled against someone as it pertains to unusual financial transaction, is it in the law that the MOT, that the person can actually write to the MOT and request the information that is leveled against them? Again, these things we have to sort out, because a lot of times when you hear persons in this community saying that they receive the majority of their information off of the blogs, for example. Well, not everything that you see on a blog is necessarily true. And then someone's life is upended and rooted up because of a false accusation. Where does that person then go from there? So while I can agree to a certain level that I understand control and I understand compliance and reporting, and I have no problem with that. We live in a different world today as it pertains to terrorism and what the consequences will be if we do not do it differently. Yes, and we're a part of this whole globalization. But the other side of that, and I think that's what the MP Bryson was talking about. What about us? What about St. Martin people? Where do we fall in when these things adversely affect us? When we have no auto industry, no fishing industry, no telecom industry, no computer industry to fall back on, when we mess up the one industry that we have, which is tourism, with all of these controls. With all of, now you have to report your goods. Anything over 25,000 gilla, you're going to have to report your goods. To what end? To what end do we have a sense of the ability to live free in St. Martin? Because freedom does not only mean that you're free of bondage. Freedom also means your ability to be able to have a peace of mind in the country that you live. And St. Martin has done a I've been here for 51 years on the planet Earth. But for 51 years, I have not known this type of scrutiny. St. Martin was not subjected to this type of scrutiny, and it has done pretty all right without it. So then, which leaves the question, is it really necessary? And how does it apply? And I want to know if these same laws are applied in Curacao, Aruba, Saba, Statia. Which islands in the region have these laws? Because again, here it is, and I'm going to mention this more than once. We have our only industry. We only import a product, which is tourism. We export nothing on the level that we can say, if this doesn't work out today, tomorrow we as a people can fall back on that. And I think that's the big concern that I have with this type of legislation. Once again, something that put together. You need to do this and cross border transfers of money, and rightfully so. There has been a peaceful cohabitation between the French and the Dutch side for years, and if the technocrats and government in particular, because I believe that government is now overreaching into the citizens' privacy. And if government wants to do controls, again, I have no problem with controls and government doing their homework to find exactly those things out. But I do have a problem with legislation being brought forward to make it easy for government to then access this information on people.